episode 497. And before we talk about how to develop resilience, let's review last week's podcast on Escape Your Comfort Zone. If you'd like to find out more details on this last week's podcast, you can go to warriormindcoach.com, use the pull-down menu, and look for the blog. But we talked about escaping your comfort zone, and there are some unique ways of doing that. One is to take a course about which you know nothing about. It could be art, it could be math, it could be history, but take something new. Practice random acts of kindness. You'll be surprised because we have our comfort zone, we get zoned in on what we want to do, and we don't stop and do random acts of kindness. Visit different places of worship. Even if you worship outside in nature, find a different place in nature. If you worship in a building, some sort of a structure, a church, a synagogue, try something different. You will be amazed at how much that expands your comfort zone. Think about writing for a publication. If you got a voice or opinion about something, write and submit it to a publication. Try different types of food. Go out to different restaurants, food trucks. Just experiment and really get out of your comfort zone. Try a new hobby. This one is really, really fun. You can do anything: skateboarding, fly fishing, crocheting, photography. Just try a new hobby. So these are 6 very unique ways of helping you step out of your comfort zone, because when you can step out of your comfort zone doing the small things, you'll find it easier to do the big things. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to develop resistance. And this term has been referred to perhaps as the rubber ball factor, and it's your basically ability to recover or bounce back in the event of adversity. So you go after something happens to you, how well do you bounce back? And it's not necessarily about overcoming enormous challenges, but coping and adjusting easily with the daily inevitability of life's setbacks. So we know life isn't always easy. Row your boat. That would be wonderful, and that's a great affirmation and a great song to sing. And we also need to be aware that we are going to face some challenges. So it's not about overcoming them per se, but how do you cope with them? It's a big difference. And it also means maintaining a positive outlook and managing stress more effectively. So these are some of the things that resilience brings into your life. There are 4 fundamental ingredients to develop resilience. The first is awareness. And that means take a note of what's going on around you and inside you, especially your brain, your thinking, because again, thinking leads to feelings, leads to actions, leads to results. So we want to be aware. Then we want to be aware of our thinking, right? And your ability to interpret the things that are going on rationally. So you look at your life, you look at things. Some people will use explanations like it's all out of control. Well, that's awareness of the thinking, and is that rational thinking about what's going on? Probably not. And then reaching out, knowing how and when to ask others for help. This is amazing. It's in the Happiness Advantage and other places, those people who have a great network of friends and family, not Facebook network, but a live one, are and able to reach out. 1, they're more resilient, and 2, they're more happy in life. And then fitness, our physical and mental strength to handle challenges without becoming ill. This is probably my cornerstone of my coaching of mental strength, is the physical. And I think you've heard that in previous podcasts that the physical opens the door to the mental opens the door to the emotional, and the emotional opens the door to the spiritual. So these are 4 areas of your life that you want to consider in when you're developing resilience. So there is this basic, there's a specific link and a link between your thought and your emotions, not just from the T-FAR model, right? Your thoughts lead to feelings or emotions, which leads to actions and leads to results. But emotions also influence on thoughts. So we can go backwards. Sometimes if we're logical, we can think the feelings. But if we don't think it and we feel something, the feeling will then create the thought. So, we have this concept, or there's this concept of ABC when it comes to influencing on our thoughts. And A is for adversity. What is the challenge or event that you're facing right now? And B is your beliefs. It entails interpreting this event. Is your belief about the event positive, negative, disempowering, empowering? What is your belief around the event? Because in reality, all events are neutral. It's what we project onto, and we project onto those events based on our beliefs. And then there's the C, the consequence of what you feel or do as a result of the belief of the event. So it's not the event, but it's your belief and then the consequences that happen of it. So that's how emotions have an influence on thought. As well as your thoughts can lead to specific emotions, right? Again, so there's the emotions leading to thoughts, and now thoughts leading to emotions. And if you think you've lost something, you may feel sad. So the thought leads to the feeling. If someone has done something to harm you, you'll feel angry. And harm not in a physical way, but you could perceive it as being insulting or stood you up or ghosted you or whatever that might be. And then you're going to feel angry. So it's the event which creates the thought, which creates, so the ABC, right? The event with the belief, with the consequence, and that consequence can either be a physical or emotional one. And if you hurt somebody, yelling at them, calling them names, ghosting them, whatever, you may feel shame. So again, there's the event and the emotion that goes with it. And we have to be aware of this congruence between thoughts and emotions and thoughts in order to develop our resilience. We also have these thinking traps, right? And these traps are assumptions about yourself or about a situation that are made without assessing the evidence. And oh my gosh, these are just assumptions, right? We all have assumptions. We see something and we assume this whole litany of things behind it without getting all the evidence. And some of those things that we have, especially self-imposed, is I've never been able to do things like that. So let's just say you and I were out walking and we'd say, hey, why don't you climb this rock? Well, I've never been able to do things like that. So that trap keeps you from doing them, and by not doing them, you're not building your resilience. So if you say, I've never been able to do things, and it stops you, that is a way to repress your resilience. I just can't pass math. I just can't pass this test. I just can't. So those are thinking traps. Those are assumptions, limiting beliefs, as I call them, about ourselves, which repress our resilience. And these are things that we say. If you listen to your thinking, or pay attention to your thinking and listen to your words, these thinking traps surface regularly. When I talk to my clients, I think one of my strong points is listening to the words that they say and challenge them on that to help them build the resilience, to help them build this mental strength. But one of these things is when you say, I can't pass math, that's a finite statement, meaning that you'll never be able to pass math. So if you can't pass math, at this time I'm having difficulty with passing math, it's a different story than I just can't pass math. And then they've taken everything from me. Oh my gosh, when we start using words like everything and always, that's the little child in us that's globalizing the event. They've taken everything from me. Well, they didn't, because you're still alive, so they didn't take your life. But we can catastrophize events in our life, and we can do this with our thinking traps. So be aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, be aware of the words that you're speaking, and are they thinking traps? Are you catastrophizing situations? Are you making it a permanent statement? Where's the evidence of this? And then how to improve your resilience. So you can develop and strengthen your resilience in several following ways. And there are many, many, many ways, right? But just before we go into them, there's coaching that you can work with. There's getting outside your comfort zone and continue to go there. So there's many ways. My suggestion is, if this is something that you want to really, really develop, take a look at my program on Udemy, Develop the Mental Strength of a Warrior. Contact me for coaching, or contact a coach for coaching, and put a plan in on how you want to develop your resilience. But here it is. You can develop it through thinking, right? Just by thinking, by analyzing your thoughts. Is this true? Is it not true? Where's the evidence? Is this true for everybody or just true for me? Because if you have a thought that is true for everybody, then it might be a social meme. But if you have, and most of us have thoughts that are true only to us, which means that it's not ubiquitous, it's not omnipresent, it's not out there all the time. So when we can improve our resilience through our thinking and self-reflection, we'll then be able to critique our thoughts. And you should engage the rational part of your brain in making a decision about a situation. We need to have this strategic thinking, this critical thinking, that instead of our emotional thinking. Emotions are wonderful. They add texture, they add color to our life. But sometimes in Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, often our emotions take over and they run our life. Well, we want to be able to stop those emotions and start to think logically and strategically about what we are analyzing, what we are looking at, and really start to analyze, is this true? Is this not true? When does it show up? When doesn't it show up? And by engaging in the rational part of our mind, we'll be able to build our resilience through thinking. And you can do that by gathering more information. So you're faced with this situation. Your past has said that, yes, this is always the way it happens. Well, do some research. Talk to a friend. Reach out, right? That's one of the ways to develop resilience. Reach out to other people. Ask them their experience with this situation. How did they maneuver it? How did they do it? And by getting more information, you'll have more of a toolkit of how to maneuver through a specific situation. And again, this is one of the processes in developing resilience. So another way you can develop your resilience and strengthen your resilience in improving resilience through thinking, engage the rational part of your brain again, the situation, and you can do that by gathering more information, right? So we talked about this. And then alternative scenarios. What else can happen? What other outcomes are available to you, and how can you get those? So by using your rational part of mind, which we discussed, gathering more information, and then you can come up with alternative scenarios. So you can also develop it through reaching out, right? We want to be able to reach out to people to get their input. Maybe they're not a genius, maybe they're not at a certain level, but they have life experiences and they have survived those life experiences up to this point. So by reaching out and asking and taking the information that they provide to us, we don't have to accept it, because then when we accept it and then blame them if it doesn't work, but we can take it into consideration, we can mold it, we can create their thinking and their results into our life so that we can maneuver, right? Resilience is how we handle the stress. And we want to be able to find out from others, how did they do that? And through fitness and health. This is one of my favorites when you start to develop resilience, and this is why I love CrossFit or high intensity interval training. You get in there and you start working, and at some point you're going to want to quit. And you see other people older than you, younger than you, worse shape than you, better shape than you, all struggling, all pushing through, all developing resilience. So when you start to do high intensity physical activity, you're going to start to build the thinking that will help you develop resilience. Then once you have that thinking, you can take that and move it into other areas of your life. This is why I'm such a big proponent on physical fitness to helping with mental strength, with resilience, with all aspects of your life. So basically in conclusion, resilience, this is your multifaceted, meaning different ways, right? We discussed different ways. Ability to draw on all your resources, both internal and external. Your external resources, your friends, your families, the internet, books, videos, TV, anything, to face challenges and deal with them appropriately. So we want to be able to use as many resources as we are to deal with it. Right? Resilience isn't being stressed out about something. It's knowing something's coming up, being able to handle it and move beyond it. Stressing out, yes, we may work through it, but stressing out creates so much havoc in our bodies and our brain and our emotions that really doesn't develop resilience. We want to be able to address a situation cool, calm, collective, if you will, and we need to expose ourselves to similar situations in order to build that resilience muscle. And if we're facing a situation we've never done before or that may seem overwhelming, this is where a coach can come in, this is where a therapist can come in, this is where a counselor can come in, this is where friends and family come in. So this is your external resources, your internal resources. Hey, you made it through life this far. How did you do it? So that's it. So that's how, in a nutshell, how you can develop resilience. And it also ensures you understand and rationalize situations so to act in accordance with those situations. So when you develop resilience, it says, here's the situation. What's the proper way to act and respond to it? So next time, I don't know. I will see what floats past my internet or past my coaching sessions, and I'll bring that to our podcast next week. For more information, see the show notes on here, and it's just more information about me and my coaching. Please visit warriormindcoach.com, and you can follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.